Hello, everyone. I am so excited for our guest today, Kristi. Give technology a second to get us together. There we go. Yay, it was quick today.
Hi, Taylor.
Hi. Thanks so much for joining me, Kristi. So So today we have a conversation about energy management, specifically for type A yogis. And I thought Kristi was the perfect person to talk to because she has such a beautiful grounding energy. She was one of the lead trainers on my 300-hour training, so I got to see her weekly for quite a bit last year. And just every time I saw you, just like this instant. And I know for people like me who are very type A, we're kind of like buzzing all over all the time, and it can be like so nice for us to feel that. Yeah, I know that you also get a lot done. You have like a lot of moving parts of your business, so the fact that you can be so grounded and still do so much, I think is really, really special. So to start us off, quick introduction about me. I'm Taylor. I have a travel and yoga blog. I'm also a confidence coach, yoga mentor, and I'm starting to specialize more in somatic movement now. So really, I like combining yoga and the traditional movement that we have with more, like a little bit more flair, like getting more embodied into it with the coaching part. So I like to explain what I do as like life coach, or not life coaching, like therapy for yogis, and specifically working with yoga teachers is where I'm really headed in right now. And Kristi, can you introduce yourself and tell people who you are, what you do?
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name's Kristi. I'm a yoga instructor, Reiki teacher, and I think my mission is in all of my offerings, I really empower others to find liberation through rest, conscious rest. Is a form of energy work to really awaken your fullest potential through the tools of yoga nidra, yin yoga, Reiki, sound healing, and now somatics. We're taking a somatic training together. And the secret is I'm type A too, like you said.
I
Like
wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
no one knows, no one knows. But I'm very driven, right? But I'm very grounded, and I always get that compliment. But I think, I had many years of not feeling grounded, of feeling very like anxious and overwhelmed, and really not knowing how to like channel that energy. And so, energy work, and we can talk about, what I consider energy work, um, and how others can do that. But I think it's so easily to get wrapped up in those big emotions, and especially if you don't come from a background of like it ever being modeled to you how to manage that, then this is where, yoga can be so transformative because we start to really look at our thoughts, in meditation and yoga, and we start to understand how these patterns and these programs affect us. And so, yeah, I love actually working with people that are type A. And just to clarify, I don't know, like, what is type A? I think of it as like, let's clarify, it's like perfectionism, which isn't a bad thing, right? It's like we have these two dualistic parts of ourselves that complement one another. Perfectionism, what are some other characteristics or qualities that you
Yeah,
see in type A?
just really like busybodies, like people who think that they need to do in order to rest, but then we end up just doing and doing and not actually resting in the end, sort of thing. So like you were saying, people who feel a lot of anxiousness, a lot of overwhelm, those are definitely things that I can identify with as well. And that's what I really think of type A's as being too. And again, the perfectionist as well. I like to label myself as a recovering perfectionist. Like you said too, there's definitely good things in all of this. There's like a purpose for all of us feeling these things. They're not inherently bad, but it's when you get stuck in that constant cycle of only doing and not being able to like come down from like the high you feel from like accomplishing so much and really wanting to find that like grounded space. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, going like our counterculture encourages that and celebrates that. It's like this person's essentially working long hours and getting so much done. And what's the saying of like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like all of those kind of subliminal messages that working like that is productive, and sometimes it is, right? We move through these seasons and ebbs and flows of our life. But going to the yin yang philosophy, it's like we have to have both in order to have balance. And a lot of people get quite caught in the yang, in the doing and the forcing and pushing, and don't have the recovery period to rejuvenate. Um, and that can look like so many different things. It can be yoga, of course, but it can also be working in your garden or dancing or walking or surfing or playing with your children. Like it can be a lot of different things. So, um, yes, I do love working with people that tend to lean towards that, because I find that they really receive the yin energy that I offer in all of my offerings. Not, in yin yoga specifically, but also in everything that I offer. There's a yin quality to it, a grounded quality. And within that space, that person has spaciousness to uncover the information they need. Because as we learn in our somatic training, underneath a pattern or a habit, there's a program, right? So that in that space, then we get to learn, is this energy even mine? Is this driving and forcing and pushing something I learned from a caretaker or someone around me? Or is it actually my pattern that's serving me?
Yeah, like you said earlier, that sometimes we just haven't had these things like modeled to us. Like I was talking to my mom about this the other day, actually, like seeing my parents. My dad is a successful business owner and he got a lot of shit done. And then my mom is much more of the creative, the rest. She was a stay-at-home mom. So of course she was still doing a lot, but like complete opposites. And I saw one person get all of this stuff done. And another person, it didn't really look like she was getting much done. And so I felt like I have kind of missed like what it's like to interweave these two things together. And I never like grasped, never saw that you actually need both in order to kind of like come into like your center and actually really get to enjoy the both of the best of both worlds sort of thing. So my first question for you is, what are some energetic practices, whether it's a yoga practice or working in your garden or something different altogether, that you can do daily to help start your day being really grounded? Like for the people who want to like whip out of bed, who've got like the to-do list in their head already of like everything that needs to get done in the day, how would you recommend that they start?
Yeah. And I think of all the practices I teach as energy work. And I think having an energy work practice is vital for our health. Just like in a regular like energy work hygiene practice. Basically, just like you brush your teeth every day, you take a shower every day, you ground, clear, and protect your energy every day. And so I teach that through the tools of Reiki, which is essentially a transfer of energy, kind of from source, connecting or channeling this energy. I think of Reiki as unconditional loving energy from spirit divine. Also through yoga nidra, through yin yoga, through sound healing. Those are all practices I regularly practice to ground, clear, and protect. But I think like what highlighting what you said, like I think is really, really important. And this goes for everybody across the board, is like how we start our day and how we end our day, the bookends of our day, especially as yoga teachers. And I can talk about my day yesterday, how this really helped me out to apply it. But I personally think it's really important how we start our day is like taking a few deep breaths, taking a moment before you jump on electronics. And I know everybody knows this and it's kind of been beaten into us, but it really is important that we are honoring our nervous system when we're still in that liminal space, and liminal space meaning space between space. where we've just woken to where we're actually going to start moving into our day and like, you know, achieving things, our to-do list and all of that. Having some spaciousness, and it could even be just a few moments of like um, checking in with your hands on your body. So I do this in bed personally. I first just check in with my breath. I find gratitude. You know, I just take that very sacred moment to honor myself and what I need that day. So meaning from like a trauma conscious perspective, like some days we have the capacity to hold a lot, right? Energetically. Like sometimes I have the capacity to jump out of bed and write emails and like work on my business. And then sometimes I have the capacity of like nothing. And I'm like, I need to just take it slow. I need maybe a yoga nidra practice in the morning, maybe some reiki, something extra for myself to kind of refuel to offer energy to others.
Now, are you taking like a really long time in the morning, or like are these like relatively like quick practices that you can do in like 5-10 minutes? Because I know when I first started like crafting my morning routine was like 3 hours long with like all the stuff that I wanted to add to it. And like it's still lengthy now. It's not that long. But like parts of it I really had to like prove to myself like that the amount of time that it takes doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better. And because I know time for a lot of people is just like, oh no, I don't have the time to do that. Who has time to do like yin yoga in the morning? Why would I want to start with my day, sort of thing like that. So like what does or what are like the length of these practices for you? Are you like tuning in throughout the day?
And as a good yoga teacher says, it depends.
Yes.
It depends. You know, I think it's really important that so the way I teach Reiki and I teach my liberated rest training is like you become the energy. So it's woven into everything you do. So self-awareness is the foundation of transformation. So self-awareness can be an instant. That can take 1 second. That can take 3 hours. So everyone is very different in terms of like how much time they need for that self-awareness. But just to use a tangible example is like maybe it's a mother who their baby's crying, like they don't have time to lay in bed and then do a yoga nidra practice, right? They need to go nurse or they need to or someone needs to get up and go teach a class. If they're a yoga teacher, they teach early in the morning. Just taking 3 deep breaths while you're still in bed and that right after that liminal space of like waking up, just to give yourself a moment can be hugely transformative. I've been coaching people on that for years, like a decade, and that signal, like trick or tool really, really shifts your nervous system. And then, of course, if you can even if your practice it doesn't look like a typical yoga practice, just staying off electronics in itself is a ritual. So we have these rituals all day long, right? One of my favorite teachers, Tracy Stanley, talks about this, and looking at your iPhone is a ritual. And
Absolutely.
so so it's like that energy, we can create these rituals in our life that take seconds or hours or minutes, and the rituals, the consistency is the key. So if you
Yes.
just put your hands on your heart and check in with yourself 1 day a year, is it really going to maybe transform? Maybe, but it's the consistency. Or I have mothers who get up and go nurse and they listen to a yoga nidra while they're nursing.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of people feel like yoga is something that they have to do. And I should specify that I think of yoga like when I first came into this practice, I thought of it as something very physical, like a workout. I wanted to lose weight when I first started yoga. It then turned into something to support my mental health more. especially during COVID when I felt like I was going crazy. Like yoga was there to help out. But now I really see yoga as an energetic practice in itself. Whether it's a vinyasa, whether it's got some core elements to it, whether it's a yin or a somatic practice, all of these are somatic or not somatic. All of these are energetic practices that we can do. And then realizing that yoga doesn't have to be one thing that you just do, that it can be like sprinkled in throughout the day, I know is a really, really big game changer to me. Like what you said, just like putting your hands on your body for a second. Like people don't really realize that that in itself is practicing self-awareness, which is yoga in itself, which is an energetic practice in itself. So I love how you said that some of like the really simple things can be so powerful. Even just like hopping onto calls like this or leading calls. So many people would just like hop down and would just like be there ready to go. But like I've had to really stop myself and say like, no, you need to take like 2 or 3 deep breaths before you even like press the live button or before you like open up the Zoom. And those like small moments are the ones that make like an insane amount of difference. Not necessarily like a 30-minute practice that you need to do to prepare yourself. Though there are days where sometimes that feels like it's necessary.
Or 90 minutes or 2 hours, you know.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, 3 pillars that are kind of like in everything I teach is grounding, clearing, and protecting. And so that comes into all different forms, whether that is a 5-minute meditation, you know, where you can do, or it's in the yin yoga class of like physically grounding yourself on the earth, clearing your energy through the deep tension we hold in the body, and then protecting our energy before we leave the space to then go and offer our energy out into the world to others, or in yoga nidra and all of it. Those are kind of my pillars that I like to in my own life practice, and then also come through in my teachings. And that's when I really find that people get the benefits because they're grounding their energy, they're feeling, and literally like grounding meaning sitting or lying down where you're slowing down, and that can be just a few deep breaths, and then that self-awareness to even the question of like, is this energy mine or is this someone else's? Like, are you holding on to something? And that question in itself can be a form of energy work. And then you're able then to have the information underneath that to make the empowered choice to clear it and then protect yourself moving forward, right? And it's not coming from a like, I don't teach from a fear-based, like, I don't fear energy. I believe energy is always transmuting and transforming. Um, it's just coming from a place of like always trying to have the capacity to be of service and help others work through whatever they're working through. But we can't do that if we're drained and depleted.
Yes, I like how you use the word capacity because that's something I've really been working with and thinking more about over the last year or so. I'm just like, okay, all these practices that I'm doing, every time I pause during my day, it's increasing my capacity of what I can take on. Because if you have a little capacity and like my boyfriend like makes a comment that like I don't like, and then like I'm gone. Like I'm flipping out about something else. I'm mad about something else that happened during the day, sort of thing. But like if you do really tune in and take these moments, take this bit of time, it just builds your capacity. It gets larger and larger and larger over time. And then we're able to help more people, which ultimately I think a lot of people in both of our audiences is all that they really want to do, is be able to give back to other people as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like yesterday, my day was full and I went and taught a class. And I knew I had a full day, so I did ground myself, cleared my energy, protected myself. I teach yin yoga. I teach one public class a week, teaching yin yoga and reiki, and a lot of people seek out that class because they love the connection or the combination of two. And I was really in a grounded space, and it was a pretty full class, and a young woman was there, and I did reiki on her back, and then kind of move my hands to her upper back. And after class, she came to me and she was crying. So as a yoga teacher, it's good to be in that grounded energy, right? Protect ourselves. Um, but she had had a surgery on her back, and I didn't know any of this, right? Years ago, she had had it. And when I placed my hands there, the energy, the Reiki, she had kind of an emotional release. It brought up, and so she asked me after what that was about, and I just said, the Reiki, just a channel or a conduit to channel that energy to you, so your body can do the healing. It can release. And I said, let it out, like if this is a safe space. I would have never had the capacity to do that if I didn't have my own practice, right? So then, and it's like, as a yoga teacher, you probably know this. And when I used to work in healthcare, I knew this. I used to work at the farmer's market selling things. It was like there was always a collective energy where it was like a theme. So then, like, two other people came up and overheard this conversation. We're like, I really need to clear energy. And can you help me do that? And I was able to really support these students through this because I had prepared myself for that, right? And I was just kind of tapping into divine and like showing up in service of just offering that information to them so they could take that away and then go apply it to their life and live the yoga, live the practice off of their mat. And then I'll keep going, then I'll stop. But then I came home, quickly ate, knew I needed to jump on Hold Space again for our 300-hour call, a big call last night that you were on. And I look at my sink and there's dishes just overflowing in my sink. I live in a 1950s home. There's no dishwasher, which I love, but yesterday I'm like, and I had the choice right then, the discernment, right, of like, do I lay down and do a yoga nidra, recharge my energy for this next space I need to hold, or do I do these dishes and clean and wipe the kitchen down and make it perfect and all of the things and put essential oils in the diffuser. And I'm like, no, I need to lay down. I need to practice what I preach. I need to recharge. And I did. And I was able to then recharge my energy and then hold space on our call. And so I just wanted to share because it was like yesterday was such a perfect example of when the type A patterns could slip into that imbalance of kind of drawing me out of what I actually needed if I didn't have that energy work of like checking in. Oh, I'm getting hearts. Yay.
Yes, no, that's a great example. And like when I hopped on the call with you yesterday, like you were just your typical, like the way that I always see you, like Zen self. Like I wouldn't have known that you had a crazy day. So like it's something that people can really, really feel, and people absolutely notice when we're not in a space that doesn't feel great for ourselves as well. Now I have one more question for you in regards to people who feel like a lot of resistance in slowing down. When people are just like, oh no, slowing down is a waste of time. What do you have to say to them? Like I know that you've explained a lot the importance of it, but for the people who are really like struggling to like get started with slowing down, what would you suggest?
I think a good thing to remember with someone like that is just meeting people where they're at. Like, I think it's really easy to just, we're so excited and passionate about these tools and kind of like dump that onto people, but it's not necessarily, some people need to really start out small. And so I think just meeting them where they're at in terms of like just small meditations or small moments, shorter practices. And then what ends up happening for most people is they start to really feel the benefits, the cumulative benefits, the medicinal properties of these practices of slowing down. And that is kind of what drives the enthusiasm to bring them back to these practices. But honestly, it's something people have to find on their own. We can't really force it upon people. And I think another point I want to make too is, and I shared this with one of the young girls that was asking me about energy clearing yesterday, is it's important to be the energy ourselves, embody the grounded, calm energy, or whatever energy you're desiring to embody. But like, we embody it and keep that's what people's nervous systems feel when they're around us. So she was asking me about, in her partnership, her partner's going through something and she wants to help him. And what I explained to her is, I gave her some resources, obviously, to offer him, but I said the most important thing is that you're taking care of your energy and he's feeding off of that. Because the way energy works is entrainment, and if she comes down to his energy, then really nobody wins, right? Because it's like, if she stays up here, he's able to follow and entrain to that higher vibration or that stronger vibration. So I think smaller practices, meeting people where they're at, letting them experience their own journey, and then actually being the light, like embodying it.
Yes, we have to be the examples for other people sometimes. And I know that for me, sometimes that feels like a lot of pressure. Like, I do all this kind of work. My boyfriend is not interested in any of this. But it's really, really cool when he says to me, or even like my parents say, like, I notice a big difference in you simply because of how I'm taking care of and treating my energy. And like, one of the best compliments I ever get when I'm done teaching a yoga class is when students come out and say, like, thank you, like, your energy was so grounding. I felt so supported. And I just think it's so, so special to experience that. But like you said, ultimately it always starts with us.
Yeah. So I think a takeaway, some tools people could use is like to ground, clear, and protect their energy regularly, which it sounds like that yoga is a practice that offers you that, for me as well. But even just that short check-in is a form of energy work. Having that moment where you take a few deep breaths, you place your hands on your body, and just that question of, is this my energy? Is this someone else's energy? Can be a form of energy work that's really, really transformative. And oftentimes, even when I'm doing Reiki sessions, I find that that question really is a powerful question for most people, because we don't realize how much we're actually holding on to until we do slow down. So
Absolutely. As soon as you slow down, all these layers start like peeling away, and you're just like, oh, I didn't know this was here. Now, for people who want to work with you, I know that you have some free resources that people can practice with you, and you've got trainings and whatnot. Where can people find you and learn more?
yeah, so like I mentioned, all of my offerings are based on the model of liberating through conscious rest to, awakening your highest potential. So I do have, I'll give them a free meditation. I don't know how we can link it here under the video, maybe. It also is in my bio on Instagram and on my website, but I have it's one of my favorite meditations I did, where we actually use distance Reiki. So I offer distance Reiki to ground, clear, and protect your energy, working through the chakras, the energy centers. And then I have a liberated rest training with my favorites, with yoga nidra, yin yoga, and sound healing. So essentially, my students asked me for years to just create one full training where I kind of offered all of this and how to combine them and hold space. And it's just a beautiful offering where you get certified in all of them, but you also learn how to combine them online or in person. And then I have a monthly group where we meet. One of my favorite new things, it's called Inspired Auras. So it's kind of a safe space to practice these and gain that consistency. So every month we practice with the cycles of the moon. So very cyclical and seasonal living. And we practice yin yoga, yoga nidra, reiki together, meditation, sound healing. And now we're actually doing somatics in that membership too. So lots of ways to experience. And then of course, I have meditations. I would recommend the yoga nidras with Reiki on YouTube, and Insight Timer. I'm on there too.
So many goodies. It all sounds so, so lovely. Definitely go check out some of Kristi's stuff because it's an absolute pleasure to practice with her. I know you had told me once, you had suggested that um, you had said that you that you take a shower by candlelight, and that's something that I do often now, and just like bathe in the candlelight, and just that's one of your teachings that I've taken with me over the past year or so. That's been so, so lovely.
Oh,
Thank you so much for joining me today. A pleasure as always to speak with you and just to see your lovely
yeah,
photos.
I want to acknowledge you before we jump off because Taylor, you are one of those people in my life that every time I'm around you, I learn something. Every time I'm around you, I feel, and even being face to face, but also everything you put out there, whether it's on YouTube or this, Instagram, your blog, I feel inspired and empowered after I read it or leave your presence. So I just want to really honor you for the work you're doing in the world. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So thank you. I know how much work goes into it in the back end. And your presence is such a healing and guiding light. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I receive. I appreciate you. Thank you again. And I'll see you again soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye, Taylor.
Thank you, everyone.